Salutations everybody, it is Matty here today, and welcome to the Elder Scrolls 6 Wishlist series, a series designed to help dictate the future of the Elder Scrolls franchise. Every Thursday, or at least we try, at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we sit down and look at the future of Elder Scrolls. What can Bethesda incorporate from other series? What can they learn from previous mistakes? What should stay? All of that is discussed in this series. Today, we're going to be talking about the importance of lore consistency. The following topic was inspired by Otter Insanity, and I love the pun, by the way, bro. I'm a big pun guy. Anyway, my wish is to preserve lore. One of my biggest complaints with Fallout 4 is how much it ignored lore that was set up by the previous games. Examples are Death Claws that can go invisible, Jet in pre-war Vault 95, Ghoul in the fridge for 200 years, XO1 power armor in pre-war places even though it was invented post-war, and the list goes on. I don't want Bethesda to say something like an Argonian can get a disease, or Valenwood has fancy houses made from cut down trees. The only way Bethesda could get away with ignoring lore is with another Dragon Break, and I don't think they have the balls to try that again. Now, I want to preface all of this by saying I'm not a lore genius, and I know my stuff for the most part, but I'm not like some others where I can summon an encyclopedia of series knowledge on the spot in every instance. The reason that's important to note is why do people like myself, lore freaks, and people like Otter Insanity care so much about lore and get angry when it's broken? Well, I think part of it is because it destroys one of Bethesda's better strengths, which is creating believable universes, and lore inconsistencies destroy that. It becomes frustrating as a player. It feels like a lack of consideration to those who get deeply invested in their franchise, that they, the player, know more than Bethesda, the creator. Some players do genuinely receive it as a slap in the face, and some players really get involved in only one franchise and just that franchise. I'm sure all of us had that one friend who only plays that one video game, and not many others really appeal to them. And there are people like that within Bethesda Game Studios games who are like that with Elder Scrolls or like that with Fallout. How does the lore break though? Where does it happen? Does it start with the writers and so on? I think part of it is through the level design, because Bethesda has come out before and said that dungeons are designed and written by the level designers themselves, which allows for more dungeons, but in turn removes some of the oversight from the lead writers who could keep track of the lore consistencies, where they could say, hey man, you got to change this in this quest because that goes against what we wrote back here in X amount of games ago. The other trade-off with lore is some players and even developers look at lore in this sense. Okay, we have a grounded universe here, but do we want to trade off being consistent for a potentially awesome gameplay mechanic? For me, I'd like the universe stable because lore consistency is important for the future of the franchise as well, not just what's releasing now, because reading books or terminals, etc., bring about imaginings of what could happen in future entries or what happened in the past. When things are inconsistent, it becomes frustrating as a fan that you may not be able to speculate on certain topics. Furthermore, it pushes people away from even caring. Elder Scrolls Online is a fantastic example. It's a great game as far as I'm concerned, and it has to cover so much to be an MMO, and with that, it ends up breaking lore in so many areas. But in turn, Bethesda probably sat there and asked themselves, okay, we have this good idea, Tamriel is ginormous, let's put an MMO there, but in order to cover so much ground, I'm sure there will be a lore consistency at some point. It's really hard to expect them to have a vast MMO like Elder Scrolls Online to be consistent all the way through. But still, that's being too forgiving. I think us as gamers are entitled to having a consistent lore within the universe that we are invested in and are paying for. Especially in an MMO, where you look at these types of games that are long-term investments, you expect that if you're deeply embedded in their content, that they are deeply embedded in giving you the most believable experience available. As far as I'm concerned, the universe is the groundwork for an interesting open world. I know we talked about it last week, but I think Horizon Zero Dawn is a great example. That world is so amazing to explore just because of the lore presented in that entry of the game. How the machines came about, the mystery among them, who created them, as well as recognizing that you're on some street and what happened here, why are there overgrown areas, why are certain areas frozen, and so on. And when you get explanation to that through writing, through dialogue, that's what makes the universe all the more compelling, where then gameplay becomes even more interesting because you're deeply embedded in what's being presented to you. So while yes, I completely understand why some people will roll their eyes and be like, dude, it's just lore, it's just a video game, let's be honest. And at one point I was one of those people. I said this way before Fallout 4, but now it's one of those things where as you take video games more seriously, it becomes more of an art. That lore, universe, and those type of stuff are so incredibly important, and you want it to be consistent and you want it to be preserved. So thank you, Otter Insanity, for the fantastic wish, and I'm curious to hear your thoughts on this in the comments down below. As always, this series is created by your comments, so continue to feed them down below, and I'll try my best to get to as many awesome ones as I possibly can for each and every episode. Be sure to follow me on Twitter, like me on Facebook, the links are in the description down below. Consider contributing to the Patreon, it fuels all the content we create here. Other than that, stay sexy, stay active, I love you all, peace.